I could end the year right here. This may be one of the biggest deer I've ever seen up here. I'm not so sure the 8-pointer didn't push the other big deer off of here for a little while. Good night. I don't know if we'll be able to top that deer for a long time. This is a good memory. This will always be a special part of the farm to me. You know, at the time, I really didn't know how big that deer was. Like even getting pictures of him all throughout the summer, you know, just wasn't really sure, and didn't even realize it until maybe later that night that this may be one of the biggest deer I've ever seen up here. And he kind of exceeded everybody's expectations. And you know, to me, it was cool, like getting that publicity for Realtree, you know. But what is more satisfying to me, and I think Dad can really attest to this too, is that everything that goes on up here with you, Roger, Wes, it's a team effort.
It takes an army of people to do what we're doing up here, and like I said, Roger and Wes and the camera guys that come help, Stephen and Brian and James, all of them come help us hang stands, and we talk through and try to get the right trees for the right camera angles. And we was fortunate on this one, and he read the script.
You know, the first picture we got of that deer was down there in the 185 field. So from this tree, it's probably not 350, 400 yards to where that camera is.
That's right.
And you know, that deer was, I remember there were times like he'd be right there, maybe still camera light, but then it was still, you know, August, last 10 or 15 minutes. Then for about 2 weeks, he just disappeared.
Yep.
But the way that deer was entering that camera in that field, we had a pretty good feeling. I remember you and I talked about this. We felt like he was bedded up along here somewhere along the interstate, because you can hear cars going here right now.
That's right.
And we said, let's just go try to stick a camera up there. Just try to, and just go for broke. Maybe we'll pick him up. Maybe he is bedded somewhere else. First afternoon, the camera gets put up here.
We had found a little patch of acorns right over off the edge of this flat right here that the acorns were dropping early on. Surprisingly, that night, he was the first deer that showed up in there.
So there was a lot of deliberation, you know, between the whole group. I mean, we had arguments up here daily with Dad, you, Roger, trying to make the best case for where to have a stand and cutting shooting lanes. You know, putting in all that work. And, you know, we were trying to play the wind for how it was going to be opening day. We're having to make a little bit of a slight adjustment. We do have a stand already up on this hill, but tomorrow we have an east-southeast wind, which is literally the worst wind you could probably have up here. We think the deer is bedded directly this way, and the stand's up here, but we're going to have to go get in the sweet gum tree. Hopefully, you know, we'll at least be in the game. You know, he just has to come from where the other stand is, another 40, 50 yards. And we don't have a camera down here, so I'm not sure if he's even been coming down this way, but at least it gives us a chance. But we're gonna get this primal hung and then anxiously wait for tomorrow. First afternoon we were in here, the big 8-pointer that we've been hunting for a couple years, he never had him up here. And I'm not sure that early in the season you wouldn't think it, but I'm not so sure the 8-pointer didn't push the other big deer off of here for a little while. You know, we thought we had a pretty good stand set up, but when the 8-pointer came in here that night, it may have been a blessing in disguise, but we blew some deer out of here that night. We came back to the same spot where we had the big 8 last night. That was a little bit of a surprise to us. Just, we didn't know that deer had been coming in here. He hasn't been on any of the Spartan cameras. And the big deer has been missing for about a day and a half. We have today and tomorrow as a south wind, and that's what we need to hunt this spot. And then after that, it's going to be predominantly east unless something changes. just give it another shot. Regardless, the wind's going to be swirling, so it is what it is. You kind of got to get lucky with the timing of this deer, and hopefully it just comes in when you do have that steady south wind. But, a bit warmer than it was yesterday, a few degrees warmer, not as overcast. Expect the deer to reach 23 yards where we put the monster bill out. Those were about the usual suspects that were in here, except for the big deer. There's one other big management cold buck that was missing as well. But just about every deer was in here besides the big 8 or the big deer we're hunting, I think tomorrow night. So there's another stand about 60 yards, 60, 70 yards from us. And although the wind said it was out of the southeast, something about the way we're on this hill, it was straight west. Oh, I kept checking it. Straight west wind, which would be perfect for that other stand. And that's just where he's been at a lot. So we may switch it up tomorrow night or come back here. But all in all, good night. It was a good opening weekend. Let's get out right here. So we caught a break with the wind. Last 2 days we've had a straight southeast wind, or it's been straight east. But this afternoon, it's actually going to go back out of the west, which is what we need to hunt the original stand that we put in here about a month ago for this deer. It's about 60, 70 yards from the stand we've been hunting opening day and Sunday. But weather's about the same. We're just going to get in here, get his camera stuff already hung. That way we can be as quiet as we can when we come in here in a few hours. But let's get out here and look at this spot. I've yet to get in this stand and kind of see how it looks. Our deer's been missing for the last 2.5 days, but this morning we got him back on camera. You can see there he is. 6:45 this morning. I was a little bit worried when he went missing that maybe something happened to him, but I think what happened, the best guess I got, is that 8-pointer that came in the first night. You know, we have a lot of history with that deer and kind of know him well. Only the second time somebody has seen him in person, but he's kind of a bully, so I think he may have bumped our buck out of here. But hopefully he's back on his regular routine and he'll come back in here tonight. This is perfect, man. If he comes in tonight, all you can ask for. This is where he's been. This is where he likes to be. bottom. We've been in here surrounded by does. They know something's not quite right when we sprayed down heavily in nose jammer. May have been what saved us. And we've had does just surrounded the tree. We can't even move the camera. It's very eerie and quiet. It's been a weird night. I was banking on tonight being it. I was so confident. We gotta be careful because I know the neighbors are hunting this deer too. We got a couple different neighbors that are hunting this deer. So we gotta be smart on how we go about this. We just don't want to push him out. Finally, we got a break in the weather. I think what happened was that opening day, we had that 8-pointer come in there. We're pretty familiar with that deer. Didn't know he was kind of bedding up there where the big deer was. You know, that big deer disappeared for about 5 to 7 days, but he's back comfortable. We just haven't had the right wind. You know, instead of pushing it and going in there and hanging just a new setup, you know, while that deer's comfortable, we're just gonna bide our time and wait. Finally, I think we got a break and we're gonna have the right wind tonight. Today and tomorrow, we're supposed to have, tonight's gonna be a northwest wind, which is better, but tomorrow we have a northeast wind, which we can probably push it before we leave on our elk hunt Friday. I could end the year right here if we were able to just have a chance at him. So I'm thinking this is gonna be our best opportunity for him. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Let's get these things unloaded. We're gonna sneak in on the back hill again, and just when we get within 100 yards of the stand, we got a bush hog road. We're just gonna lay these on the side of the road and walk all the way up. I've got a feeling they may move a little bit earlier tonight. This is a difference between now and opening day, is that we cut this lane that goes right to the stand we're hunting. Instead of going up, getting closer to where these deer are embedded or possibly being visible, we just have this road right here, walk right up to it, and it's gonna take us right to our stand. So, I mean, just the little things that you never know, probably gonna make a difference. But we got a northwest wind tonight. Just hope we can stay out of harm's way of most all the deer that come in here. Here's where our stand is. Got a perfect northwest wind. It's actually, wind's doing this right here. So all the deer coming from back in here. So we should be really good. This is where I think most of the deer are bedding. It's right back in here. Here's the first picture we got of him last night. He was here at 7:41. That's the 5th night in a row. Usually between 7:30, 7:45 is kind of when he's been showing up. This is the perfect scenario. This is what we wanted. I feel nervous. I'm not nervous about this shot. It's all the deer. There's a lot of deer that are up here, and it's just we have to, if these deer go behind us at all, just hopefully don't blow. And hopefully they go south of us where we don't have to worry about it. That's not him. No. That deer needs to be killed, though. I would love to shoot that deer. He ain't toting that.
Give me a hug.
He ain't toting that.
Good shot.
Yes.
That gun giant. We've been obsessed with that deer for a month. He stood there and faced us for it seemed like
I
forever.
hate it. I saw his, I can barely see his face. I saw his eyes just, I was like, he's gonna get Brian.
Looking through us.
I was like, he's gonna get Brian. You did good on that.
Dude.
You did good.
Awesome. We waited until the conditions got right. We didn't push it.
Man, we could have easily pushed it. I know one thing. That is for sure the biggest Georgia deer I've ever taken with a bow. That may be the biggest Georgia deer I've ever taken.
That's probably going to be the biggest deer ever taken off Realtree.
All right, we got somebody I got to call. I got to know if he watched us live on the Spartan.
Looks like you made a good shot.
I was about to say, you had to see that.
I did see it. We watched it. I'm at the softball game. About 10 people watching.
No way.
I'll just kill 180. We did it live. It looked from the blood. It looked like everything was good.
Oh, he was pouring on both sides, pouring.
Yeah. Hey, that deer may go 180.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
He's mid-70s. He's mid-70s.
Regardless, he's dead.
Yeah, we ain't got to him yet. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
They coming on up, and you're gonna go ahead and do the recovery.
They're coming on up right now. I think me and Brian are about to get down though.
Yeah, I try to do as much daylight as you can because he ran off back up in that bottom. And if you can get a daytime recovery, that'd be great.
All right, sounds good.
All right, buddy. Congratulations.
Love you, Dad. Thank you. Bye.
All right, buddy. All right, bye.
I killed him.
Yes, sir.
Dad watched the whole. Dad.
That's what I was talking about.
That's what I'm talking about, buddy.
You kill any does?
No, I had 2 come in. Oh,
awesome.
I had the year that come in, and then
Did
I
Dad?
had
Did you watch it?
No, I told Dylan and them, I said, Bill done got on there live and I can't see nothing. We seen the first couple deer come in and then I got locked out.
He watched the whole hunt. And I shot him. Look at all the blood right here.
smoking.
Oh, hell.
Yeah.
Where'd he go? Back to the bottom?
Yeah, he went. It came. You know, I got him got my favorite artery, a little high, but it came out good, man. It's a complete pass through. Right here.
Oh.
Looks good. That's what you like to see. But we're just gonna make sure we're gonna go down there. I can already see good blood right here. I don't think we're gonna have a hard time trailing this deer. So, Brian, do you wanna go down there, just me and you, make sure he's good? Dude, the blood in here is unreal. Good night. Good Lord. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. What a freaking giant. Whew, I'm speechless. That's the biggest deer I've ever taken here, by far. Oh man. Thanks, Dad, for letting me come hunt this one. It's a freaking monster. This is the deer we've been after. Man, I didn't know if, I know we kind of had 2 days left before we leave from Montana. The weather got decent and finally we got a northwest wind, and we've just been waiting on that. That deer's been in here 5 days in a row now in daylight. I was a little bit worried. It got really windy tonight. Usually these deer don't really react well to weather change like that, but man, I just being able to represent Georgia like this is what's cool to me. I mean, it's cool taking a deer like this anywhere, but when it's on your own place, your own farm, you've seen these deer grow, you've known this deer now for a couple years, it just means more. I hate Dad couldn't be here in this moment, because if there's anybody that deserves to see this, it's him. But I think he's on his way, so I know he's going to be excited. He actually got to watch it live on the Spartan, which is pretty cool. He said he was at the softball field with my sister, and they had an audience of about 10 people, and so the way the camera was situated, he got to see the whole thing go down. I don't know, man. I'm just stoked. This is cool. It's a good way to probably gonna end my Georgia season now when my dad sees this. You know, but that was so cool getting to share that with everybody, and to make that walk out together, holding that deer. And just like Brian too, like Brian and I get to sit in a tree, you know, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've hunted a lot together, and getting to share something like that with him, it's cool when you have somebody you can celebrate with in a tree, and it just not be a solo experience. Even though there's nothing wrong with that, you know, Brian's been a part of this as much as I have, and filming hunts is never easy. Having 2 people in a tree trying to shoot a deer like that, you know, with the conditions, it's not always the easiest thing. So I love sharing it with folks.
Well, it just kind of brings it all full circle. I mean, our whole motto is family, friends, and outdoors. And, you know, I've always looked at it like, as long as you're out there in the outdoors and you're spending time with your family, your friends, or whatever, the harvest is just a bonus to it. The real meaning and the enjoyment of it is the fellowship and the bonding you get as a group out there, and the fun times, and, you know, reliving the mishaps, reliving the screw ups, and learning from them. But when it all comes together like that, it makes it a special moment.
It makes those moments when you finally connect. It makes those moments when you finally connect so much sweeter, and so much more satisfying and gratifying. And that's what it's all about.